Bitcoin is losing support. Could this be a disaster for the cryptocurrency market right now? Guys, we've sort of seen it coming. We've been talking about it for a while, and right this second, something is happening. I'm going to try and get this video as fast as possible. So what is happening? This is a 15-minute chart for Bitcoin. You can see this green line is very, very significant for us, and we have wicked into it really perfectly. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit further so you can see what these lines actually mean. So this is a daily chart for Bitcoin, guys. You can see this green line has basically preserved us. You can see that this green line has been support for us ever since January last year, where we first broke above it, and then we haven't really ever been below it, apart from literally right now where we are testing it as support. Is it going to be able to hold out? Well, right now we have wicked down through it. There's potential, obviously it's not a line in the sand, that we could be running into some strong support. But what I want to draw your attention to is this falling wedge pattern here, which could be our last ditch attempt at saving the crypto market, because if we drop below here, guys, I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing potential dips down towards maybe even $20,000, because if you look before, when we came up through, we came up so fast that we didn't find much in the way of any resistance apart from this area here, sat at around $24,400. These chart patterns, more often than not, that are falling towards the downside do get bought up and pushed towards the upside. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to bounce like this, guys. What we're seeing right now is the bulls battling to save themselves against the bears. So what we really need to see is this yellow line hold out. If this yellow line holds out, we could see a bit of sideways action, potentially a bounce, and then another dip towards this sort of green line area, and then we're going to see maybe a push towards the upside. That is, if we hold right now in this key area. We are basically needing to hold above where this yellow line sits, and ultimately where the yellow line is sitting is literally at $26,900. In my opinion, yeah, we can wick through it and kind of push back. That's not saying much. If we're dropping below here, guys, then I think it's going to be pretty messy for crypto in the short term, and we could have a bigger significant push. You can see that the rest of the altcoins have obviously suffered. A lot of this is to do what's going on with Luna right now, and you've probably heard a lot about that. But ultimately, it's all to do with what's happening in the US dollar. And the US dollar has been running into this support, which on the weekly chart, you can see we're pretty much at the highs we haven't seen since like 2001. We're above now this high back here. Doesn't mean it can't push towards the downside, but things are looking good for the US dollar, which obviously Bitcoin compared with the US dollar is pretty alarming. But what I'm seeing unfold on the DXY on the 4-hour chart is quite significant. As I've talked about, when we have falling patterns towards the downside, we do tend to break towards the upside. And on the flip side of things, when we have rising wedges like we're seeing right now, we do tend to break towards the downside. But you can see that we are now having another push, and we're starting to challenge this high here on the DXY around 104.1. If this continues to push towards the upside, which it could well do in the shorter term, and we don't see a significant turnaround, we're going to see more slippage towards the downside for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. But ultimately, guys, I think this is starting to look a little bit on the bearish side. It's so overextended right now that we have to see some sort of a cool off. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to drop and just dump all the way towards the downside in one swift movement, which obviously would be great for crypto, but things are looking a bit alarming. Now, zooming into the 5-minute chart, obviously, when you watch this, things are going to be a little bit different, but this is the yellow line from that falling wedge earlier. You can see that we're in a kind of another smaller falling wedge pattern on just this 5-minute chart, but right now you can see how it's interacting with this line here. We've had a strong push down and then a very strong push back up. So what's happening right now in this area is so key. It's really basically hanging by a thread. We are literally just a few $100s away from breaking this lower low. If we do that, then as I've mentioned, we're going to be dropping significantly lower. So by the time you wake up, if you're in the US or Europe or wherever, you may well see that we've had a little bit of a bounce, but that doesn't mean right now that we are 100% safe. But in terms of would I be buying now? Personally, I am not financial advice. Buying now because obviously right now the prices are low. There's an extreme amount of fear in the markets. Obviously not only in Luna have people seen huge losses, but seen big losses in other cryptocurrencies. So right now I'm sure lots of people are burying their heads in the sand and kind of not looking at crypto charts, but ultimately I've always been saying it, guys, when the prices are low, that's when you want to pay attention. For some reason everyone watches videos when the prices are super high because they just want to reinforce it. But ultimately when the prices are high, that's when you can kind of turn off YouTube for a bit and chill out, in my opinion. But obviously don't turn off YouTube, guys, because I obviously appreciate your support. So as I mentioned, guys, all very, very key what's happening right now. If we drop towards the downside, there's no idea exactly where we're going to bounce to. I've just talked about that line around 24,400. Obviously, there's lots of other stuff that goes on, guys. There's loads of people potentially waiting to jump in and buy at lower levels. Who knows exactly where that will be? Obviously, if we do break down, I think we're going to see a huge spike towards the downside, and as orders get filled to buy, etc., we're going to see a push back up. So basically, don't panic, guys. People are asking whether to sell, etc. You can, obviously, it's your choice, your money. Personally, I'm not selling. Why would I sell now when I could have sold a few weeks ago for significantly more money? Ultimately, guys, the concept is buy low, sell high. When people are fearful, be greedy. When people are greedy, be fearful. Right now, people are super fearful. So maybe it's time to be greedy, in my opinion. Guys, if you enjoyed today's update, then make sure you smash the like button. Thanks very much for doing that. Helps me out more than you know. And if you're new to the House of Crypto and you want to be kept up to date with all the things that are happening in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptos, then make sure you subscribe, and I will see you soon with another video.